Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. This week, I'm going to be unboxing my PlayStation Portal to give everybody some first impressions and thoughts on it and exactly what I'm thinking. So, before we get into it, the PlayStation Portal I think has been kind of a divisive product, I guess. Like, it really is something that seems pretty specific in its use case, right? So, ultimately, what this is, for folks that don't know, this is just a dedicated device for Sony's remote play. So if you've ever done remote play via like your mobile phone, this is just that. It's using the same technology as far as I'm aware. I don't think there's any improvements or changes to that. It's just a native device, right? A screen built in. It does have the controller, so you have the functionality from the DualSense, but it's not adding any new features, meaning that you need to be Wi-Fi connected. You need to be connecting to an existing PlayStation 5, your existing PlayStation 5, and you can't stream games or things like that. But I'm in a position where I think this is a device that I can get some use out of. My son, who was born earlier this year, there are times where I'm unavailable to be like downstairs sitting in front of my TV, but maybe I have, a few minutes here and there where he's napping or, entertaining himself playing with some of his blocks and things, where we'll be able to squeeze in some game time using one of these for certain types of games. So I'm excited to check it out. And I figure why not give everyone kind of my first impressions, especially for some of my friends like in the Discord and stuff, then you'll know exactly what I think and whether or not I think it's worthwhile. So I don't know exactly how this is laid out. I did cut it open. So we will just go ahead and dig right in. See if I can feel which direction is up. This is up. Whoa. All right. Slides out of the box. Got the box there. Very similar packaging design to the other accessories of this generation, right? The PlayStation 5 itself, the DualSense Edge controller, things like that. Got this little tab here. We can pull on that. Ooh. Come right on out. It's got this little cardboard insert. We pop this up, we get, that wasn't as dramatic of a reveal as I was hoping. We get yet another packaging. But inside here is where we're going to find the device itself. Comes with a little screen protector on it. Some very basic instructions that hopefully I can follow. Ooh. First impressions are, it does feel pretty good in the hands. It's a good weight. I'm someone that actually kind of likes a little bit of heft to a handheld. Like I like the DSi XL and things like that. So the controllers, I mean, obviously these are original PlayStation 5 DualSense controller parts, but they do feel authentic in that way, as you'd expect. And yeah, it's got not too heavy, but it has just enough weight where it feels satisfying. Like, I don't know how much I would hold it up like that while I'm playing a ton. You probably have your elbows resting on something so that you can take a little bit of that weight off. But it's not bad, right? If you can play on a Game Gear, you can play on that. All right, let's circle back, just see if there's anything else in the box here for us to take a look at. Ooh, they went all out. I'll be reading these instructions in depth. Always read every single health, safety, and warning precaution for any product that I ever receive. So, I didn't even see this inside the box, hidden in like a little flap right here. I'm guessing this is probably a USB-C. How do I get that open? There we go. Yeah. So I'm guessing that's a charging cable. Is there any charging brick or anything? I don't think so. So yeah, just plug this into any USB-C to USB-C compatible device you have, so you can charge it up. That makes sense. I'll probably end up just charging it hooked into the PS5 as long as that works. So let's get this out of the way and take a look at the device itself. There's the front of it, and there's the back. Got hidden under the back there's where the USB-C port is, and then that is the headphone jack right there. So pretty nice, you know, kind of out of the way, obscured. They would hang out from the bottom, which I like when something hangs out from the bottom there. And then on the top we have what I'm guessing is the volume buttons, the plus and minus, power, and what is that symbol? Little, kind of a lightning bolt. Yeah, kind of a 2-carat lightning bolt. I'm guessing that's the button for connecting to the PlayStation itself, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't recognize that symbol. Oh, look, they even label right there the same thing. So let's go ahead, peel that off. Ooh, yeah. And that is a nice shiny screen. So this is pretty freaking big. Here, I can give you some size comparisons if you're curious how this compares to some other devices. So before we turn it on, here is it relative to a PSP. Here is it relative to the Switch. So, you know, this is the launch model Switch. Screen's a little bit bigger, which makes sense because I think this is what, an 8-inch screen, and this is smaller. It's like 6.5 or 7. Oh, so look at those smudges on that screen. But if you want to compare it to the Analog Pocket, you know, there's the comparison to the Analog Pocket. Fits snugly right in there. That's nice. If you want to compare it to the N-Gage QD, you know, here's the size relative, just a little bit bigger than the screen on the N-Gage, which is nice. You know, I like that they moved to the more horizontal orientation as opposed to the vertical one on the N-Gage. Here is it relative to a bandana. So now, you know, see, it's about a bandana's length and maybe half a bandana tall, something like that. It's about a folded bandana tall, actually, so that's pretty nice. And then finally, here is it relative to a Ford F-150. So, you know, a little smaller than the truck. Nice. But why don't we go ahead and boot this thing up and see what we think. I'm assuming I can just power it on. Yeah, it says just hold the power button down. So let's hold it down together. Oh, you really have to hold that down for a while. All right, lesson learned for all of you out there. All right, we should be back up and running now. We had to switch to the phone camera because the other one was just absolutely not cooperating. So in our initial setup here, we're choosing our language. Need to set up my network. All right, let me get this going. We'll get this set up off screen. I'm going to connect to our 5G. All right, now that we have connected to the network, we're being prompted to update the system software. Go ahead and download that. Agree. Pretty fast, and not too big of a day one update, which is nice. And while that's getting set up and installed, I have to say I like the way that it feels in my hand. Like, you know, you think of holding an actual controller. It turns out that having this like extra space on the sides to put your hands is pretty nice. It feels very similar to, very natural to holding a DualSense controller. It's very, yeah, it's comfortable. Again, weight is pretty solid, but not too heavy. I could definitely see myself playing this for a good amount of time. Oh, we can press buttons. Probably shouldn't accidentally cancel, but yeah, all the buttons feel appropriate. Yeah, wonder what happens if we mess with the volume here. So that's it turned all the way up to the max. Not too loud of a device, even on the maximum volume. But we'll keep it at half for now. And yeah, overall, you know, it kind of just is what I was expecting it to be, right? Not too dramatic of a improvement or disappointment relative to my expectations. It just sort of is. So I'm going to go ahead and let this install finish up, and then we'll take a look at the actual Portal software itself. All right, so after several updates and 2 reboots, it finally came up. It prompted me to log into my PlayStation Network account, which we have now done. So now we're going to connect to the PlayStation 5. Okay. The quick menu, okay. Oh, okay. And there we go. We are connecting to the PS5. I believe my PS5 right now is connected to this same wireless network, the 5G in our house. It's also, if I recall correctly, in rest mode. So let's see if it's able to boot it up and connect. I wonder if the PS5 needs to be out of rest mode in the first attempt. Nope. All right, we were able to connect. Fancy little animation there. All right, and here we are. All right, initial feel on the menus is, yeah, pretty responsive, I'd say. Feels good. Let us jump into a game. Let's boot into Astro's Playroom and give it a shot. This is a good test of a game that isn't too latency dependent. Like you'll feel the latency, but you can probably get most things done. Let's turn the volume down a little bit on it. Actually, let's do the controller demo first. Let's feel these DualSense features on this tablet. This will forever be my aha moment with the PlayStation 5 was this test, so. Alright. Hey, they're introducing my controller. Let's see if it handles this correctly. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel the vibration on the correct sides. Adaptive triggers. There is no touchpad. I wonder. Oh, there's a virtual touchpad. Oh, and it's on both sides. Interesting. Okay, so when you touch the screen, there's a touchpad on both sides. Ooh, it actually registers both touches. Nice. All right, that's a pretty elegant solution to handle the lack of a touchpad on the device. It is obviously a touch screen, so nice. Hello? Oh yeah, that worked just fine. All right, looks pretty good. All right, let's continue our game and see what it feels like to run around in here. My initial impressions of the screen are they look pretty good. Nice and crisp and clear. Yeah, this feels good. So I mean, I've used remote play before in my home. This is kind of the ideal circumstances for the device, right? I'm in my house on a 5G connected network and sharing that network connection, and I've had success with it in the past. Every now and again, I'll get some artifacting and things, but yeah, we're not seeing any issues right here. Yeah, it feels good to play. That was me, not latency. That was just me being bad at the game. All right. Overall, yeah, early impressions, at least in Astro, positive. All right, if we're going to really test latency, let's test it on something that we know can be an issue. We'll turn the speaker off for this one. Let's test it on something that is very precise. Super Meat Boy. And let's just hop into, one of the slightly later levels. I do kind of like the way that they have the color along the edges of the controller here. Yeah, let's see how difficult it is to navigate using the latency here. Oh yeah, you can definitely see, there is definitely some delay there. Took a second for it to catch up. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel a little latency. Ooh, that's on me. So, as with everything, it kind of depends on how sensitive you are to latency and things like that. You can definitely get used to it. You sort of learn to like press buttons earlier than you normally would, but it's livable, right? Obviously not as ideal as playing on an actual PlayStation, but oh, we survived. Oh, I died. But like, yeah, we can get by. Oh god, that's the Super Meat Boy experience. It's getting nervous and jumping around more than you need to. There we go. So yeah, definitely not ideal, but for this type of game, things like fighting games, scrolling shoot 'em ups, you probably don't want to play a lot of precision platformers. But stuff like turn-based RPGs, puzzle games, probably even some action adventure games, I can see working totally fine. So, yeah, early impressions of that are pretty dang good. All right, let's check out the settings here. We can check out device information. We can view the system or update the system software, set our language preferences. I guess the clock if you need to enter that, and your power saving modes. So, sort of just like your very typical expected options here. The brightness, not too bright on the most extreme setting. I mean, it looks good, but it's not overly bright. Controller, you can set the trigger and vibration intensity. And yeah. One other thing, let's check out the kind of maximum volume here. I want to give some thoughts on that because I've heard from other places that at its highest it can get a little teeny. So let's check that out. All right, so I'm certainly no audiophile. I would say that the audio didn't sound too bad. It does get good and loud. The device gets, I think, louder coming out of its natural speakers than I would ever reasonably want to set it. So, no concerns there. You can tell that there's a little bit of loss in quality at the higher volumes, but honestly, it's one of those things where if you're not really looking for it, I don't know that you'll notice it too bad. Certainly, in really audio sensitive games, you would obviously want to play with headphones. You wouldn't be playing out of the speaker anyways. So I think it's completely serviceable. It doesn't wow you, but it also doesn't really hinder too much from the device. So. Hey everyone, Editor Steve from the future here. Something that I didn't have the chance to test when I recorded all that footage was how it performed outside my home network. So I was able to connect it both to external Wi-Fi as well as using my phone for a hotspot. The Wi-Fi outside my home worked, I'd say, pretty well. It was a pretty decent connection, and it, all in all, seemed to perform about the same, maybe a little worse than my home network. Obviously, the home network is the ideal solution for a device like this. And then when I connected it to my hotspot on my phone, that was basically unplayable. So it's not something that I'll be able to do. If you're at a coffee shop or something, at least on my network, through my cell plan, it wasn't viable at all. So again, that's not really speaking to the device. That's speaking to the remote play capability. But since this device can only use remote play, it's relevant. and I just wanted to share the results of those 2 tests with you before I jump into final thoughts here. I believe everything I say moving forward here is still correct, but I just wanted to give you that last update on how those tests went. So, yeah, all in all, I have to say, it sort of is exactly what I was expecting it to be. Again, to go kind of over my pros and cons of it, I think that the feel of it, both in your hands and the weight of it, and just in general, feels good. I think it's a good size. The screen is a nice size to see text and things in various games. The screen is nice and bright. I obviously would have preferred an OLED screen for a little bit sharper contrast, but I have to say that this still looks pretty damn good. No real complaints here. Yeah, neutral points. I think the speaker's just kind of fine. Of course, it is a pretty bare bones device in terms of what it can do. And negatives, I would say, really just it's going to depend on the latency of your device. All in all, you're going to have varying degrees of success based on whether or not you are connected to your home network or you're out at a coffee shop or something like that. You're connecting via hotspot. It all is going to sort of vary and depend. Your at the whims of your network connection. I should also point out everything I tested was based on the device connected to a wireless PS5, so I do not have my PS5 plugged in via a network cable, which would probably help things a bit, but it's just the nature of my setup. So, all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a pretty neat device, something that I know I'll get some use out of, and yeah, if it's something that you have a use case for, it's probably something that you would enjoy too. All right, thanks everyone for watching, and until next time, peace.